There you go.
All right, I'm looking at the public link. It's still not on. So it says 5 minutes and 22 seconds. It's not allowing it to start until 6:30 exactly, it looks like.
Well, we're on, so they'll as soon as they join and the link, it'll be on. So it's
No, it's not,
recording.
because I just went to it and it's not showing you.
Huh.
Oh, wait,
Interesting.
here it is. There we go. We're live. All
I,
right. There
I
we
was gonna
go.
say.
Well,
I mean, if for 5 minutes I just have to sit here and do this, you know, flex. I'm like, can you see me? Is it working? That would be okay too, right?
exactly. Exactly. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started then. In spite of our technical
Technical.
issues, we are finally here with good old Google Hangout with our new special seminar series for the Millionaire Marketing Machine. We were really privileged to have it kicked off this year with an amazing, amazing, dynamic woman who is literally known around the globe as the body-mind mentor and literally the game changer for teaching people how to get not only the rockin' body and health together, but an incredible mindset and success mindset to really lead an incredible ultimate life. And as a nutrition, fitness, and mindset expert and transformation mentor, Marci has appeared on TV shows around the world and actually hosts her own TV and radio show, as well as speaks globally as a best-selling author. And she's passionate about changing lives around the world through getting the rockin' body and life for people and the dreams by breaking down the barriers to get and keep breakthrough results in every area of our lives. And her unique lock formula implements the components, I mean, through her programs, through her books, through her kick-ass events, and on her regular Marci Lock Influential TV show. She's touched and transformed thousands of lives through her body-mind breakthrough program, her Goddess Revolution experience, her Badass Breakthrough Adventure series, as well as her corporate wellness programs. And Marci lives in Southern California with her two amazing boys, seizing life in every moment and living in alignment with her purpose and her passion, obviously. And you can download for more information. We're going to supply you more throughout this seminar and this Google Hangout and interview with Marci. With the Marci Lock app she actually has created that's free on iTunes. If you have iTunes, you can get the Marci Lock app for free, or go to marcilockapp.com to get free workouts, free recipes, breakthrough mindset, success tips, and you can also follow her daily inspiration on Facebook and get her free video bio and actually her free video series at mindbody90.com. That's mindbody90.com. So with that said, we've got a whole bunch of questions that, we have we're an association of entrepreneurs, Marci, around the world. If you weren't familiar with, the body-mind, we've heard of the body-mind series, of course, but Millionaire Marketing Machine, these entrepreneurs are constantly looking for ways to create success in every area of their life, and most of them are working from home. That are constantly helping and serving other home-based business owners and entrepreneurs. And, what would you say, especially to what I call an entrepreneur who really at the core of their success is mindset, which is such a big part of your teaching? What would you say as we're starting off this interview and with you, would be the core of your teaching for mindset for an entrepreneur, and how and what you would say is the priority for them to focus on utilizing your distinctions and your incredible wealth of information?
The first thing that I like, right as you asked me that, I was kind of tapping in and saying, okay, so what would be what's coming through? And that's a concept of, all of us that I think are in being entrepreneurs and business coaches, etc., or you've got a passion to share your at-home based business. Most of us have jumped into the aspect of personal coaching or self-empowerment, improvement, etc., because you've got it to really like shift into that space. And there's this concept that's coming through me right now that it's like when you're born and you start to grow, you start to have experiences, you start to begin this mindset of life happens to me. And so a lot of us take on perfectionist identity or victim mindset of like, oh, my parents do this to me, or, the teachers do this to me, or whatever. And you grow into this space of mindset, which you teach, obviously, Robert, and you realize you're a powerful creator. You're a limitless, infinite, powerful creator. You're a divine son or daughter of God. And so all of a sudden you shift into the space of like, life is coming from me, meaning I'm the creator of my world. And the thing that I was just filling into is I think the greatest place that you can eventually go to operate out of sharing your passion or purpose is when life just comes through you. There's no more stories or attachments or judgments or blocks or barriers allowing you to fully show up in alignment. And so I think the greatest gift, the greatest gift we can give each other is the gift of the freedom of our own experience, because comparison is the thief to all joy. So comparing each other and we get placed in a lot of boxes of it has to look a certain way, etc. When you recognize that when I'm in alignment and I feel good, when I'm just in alignment in my truth, that's probably why everyone that follows you, Robert, and is trying to share their passion, their purpose, their business, is because they have something to give. Every single one of us have a genius within us that we want to give to create freedom for others from our message. You've heard probably your mess becomes your message. So I believe when you're in alignment, meaning when you feel good, when you're so tapped into that truth of who you are, and you've dropped all the bullshit stories and games and attachments and conditioning patterns and the things we kind of are raised in, because we live in the world and society, and you're feeling good, it just comes through you. So the greatest thing I could say is being on the journey to continually expand into the greatest version of yourself every single day, and dropping all stories of judgments or attachments that anything is wrong or right, good or bad. It just is, and it's just your perfect experience and your perfect growth process, and you're learning perfectly as someone else is learning perfectly, and what resonates for them in their perfect journey. So that's probably the ultimate tap into self-love and operate out of that.
It's amazing because it seems that so much of what I hear you talking about is personal responsibility. At least that's what I get from what you were saying, and it seems to resonate throughout your message, the material that I've read of yours, looking at your website, looking at some of your lessons and your videos. You've seemed to have really mastered in what you teach your students and the people that you coach is a level of personal responsibility and accountability, as opposed to blaming circumstances, as opposed to blaming other people or other situations, or whatever it might be, whatever we might use as an excuse for a lack of results. You seem to nip that in the bud, and you really hit that issue of taking responsibility for our results as opposed to being a victim of circumstances is really what at least at the core of your message, I feel, with what you teach people, especially when they're business owners and entrepreneurs. And I love that about your teachings, because you're really, I don't think that our members around the world, we have people around the world on this interview and seminar series that are listening to us tonight. They don't really know your story. Can we have like a brief, just a brief overview, because you have such an amazing story real quickly about how you overcame some incredible challenges. There's people that are watching you right now that don't have a clue of what you've overcome, that you weren't, quote unquote, this victim of circumstances. Just maybe a short version of that.
Wow, I know, right? Short version. Well, and just to add to that, when you said blame, I mean, the very phrase that I use with my little boys. Okay, so I have an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old. I'm a single mom. Been experienced one part of my story. Cheating husband, got divorced about 7 years ago. And when my little boys want to come to me, they're like, "Well, blah 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 blah," and I'm like, I totally get it. I can hear you're frustrated. I'm like, so what do you want? And they're like, well, I want him to do this. I'm like, awesome. So what would you get to do to create that as a solution? Who would you get to talk to? And if they continue in kind of giving me their stories and their excuses, I'm like, babes, are you looking for blame or solution? And it's like, as simple as from a small age, we start to see ourselves as victims and look for blame outside of ourselves instead of looking at how to condition our minds to create solutions. So it's like retraining the mind. And yes, Robert, I was a victim. I was a perfectionist identity who had to survive. That was, the identity patterns that I lived in was a martyr. Everything was hard. My belief systems were everything from, I almost experienced probably every trauma you can imagine in the belief systems that would work against me. So hence, I totally understand what it's like when people are in these stories, and what's real for them is because we are all in choice of how we respond to every situation, how we perceive it, how we think about it, how we feel about it. And so hence, yes, we are the creator of our world.
Now, what about your health issue now? Now, you overcame a pretty big, on top of the marriage with, the cheating spouse that you overcame, but you also overcame a major health issue.
Massive.
That's huge.
Yeah. Probably I now teaching what I do, a lot of people will come to me because I'm a nutrition fitness expert, and they go, oh, wow, she looks, the part. And I'm like, that's awesome, but how I got to living in this space of effortlessly living with 8-pack abs and, financially free and all these other things is because of the inner game. And that's what I'm passionate about really teaching people, is this all becomes bonus. The finances showing up in a huge degree, the spiritual alignment, the relationships, the body of health, all of that will show up as your result when your inner game is clear and you're aligned. So you can study all the business strategies and everything and externally and take action, but if the belief system below says, successful people are assholes, or I'm going to be hurt, or, I can't have relationships and money, or whatever it is, there's this disalignment, and so you never manifest. And so that's what I'm really passionate about, is creating that alignment so that what you're doing on the surface is you as a powerful creator going to manifest. And so my experience was, Robert, I look back now understanding this and saw that at age 4 is when I really started to create massive belief systems that worked against me. If we're down to even that, my body had to look a certain way to be loved, so hence I didn't love myself. I didn't think I was good enough at the core. So my whole life I struggled fighting my body and believing that the body was hard and it didn't work. And I saw that, and my dad had diabetes and passed away when I was 15 from diabetes. So I saw that and believed that. So I had, from the time I was young, I had ulcers and kidney problems and migraines, and I had breast cancer at 24. I had, a heart attack at 19. I had years.
Okay, wait. You just glanced over that. You had a heart attack at 19.
Probably that's just the health side that I experienced.
A heart attack at 19 and breast cancer at 24.
Yeah, that was just the health side. If you get into my story, it's like I had rape attempts, a stalker, I had kidnapping attempts. So I believed the world was scary, people were unfriendly, the world was untrustworthy. We grew up on a farm, so we had to grow our own food to survive. We're extremely poor. So you mix all my experience was just literally a life of victimhood. That's what I experienced. And so getting my journey was, first, it started with the body, because I started from a young age, from things that were said. I took on the decisions. I chose the belief systems that said I had to have a perfect body to be loved. If it didn't look a certain way, if I didn't show up a certain way, I wasn't loved. So hence I started perfectionist identity, and those were the behaviors I moved into to try to always show up for everyone else and do everything for everybody and make everybody happy. And as a perfectionist identity, which a lot of us live in these components or these behaviors of perfectionist identity because of the way our society is, that we think things have to look a certain way to be good enough, to not be judged, or to be validated that we're loved. And in that space, too, we have such a draw to not fail that we'll do anything to succeed, but we're also so scared of reaching for success because there's a chance of failure. We create patterns to stay where we're comfortable. So hence, if someone wants to try to lose weight, but they have a belief system of I can't, it's never worked for me, and they've tried a million diets or whatever, they'll create an injury to hold themselves back and say, oh, I was really going to go for that, but I hurt my ankle. And then what you're actually declaring to the universe is, so the ego mind, your ego mind never wants to be forced. And that's why people sabotage, is because you have to do something, you should do something, yet you wonder why you won't do it, is because you're actually fighting your ego mind, and it's because your belief system attached and your perceptions. But so in that space where if I'm fighting the ego mind knows every little trick and secret there is to get you to hide in the shadows of your scared little self. And so it knows that if I create an injury that will stop me, then every time I go to try to shed weight, that's most likely one of the patterns or some things I'll attract and create and happen to hold me back into my comfort zone. Because it's like, so if it's money, if it's building a business, and you have a belief that, well, it's going to take money to make money, which is bullshit, by the way. I mean, I easily created 6 figures a month doing organic Facebook marketing. So that's when I love to call people out, and they're like, well, yeah, I'd be able to do it if I just figure out how to pay for these.
Wait, I got to come, just for because we have so many home-based business owners here. You
Yeah.
broke $100,000 a month without spending anything on advertising costs or marketing, just
Yep.
through networking with people on Facebook.
I still do. Most of what I do is just organic Facebook marketing. Most of it. Literally today I had a conversation with the guy who's going to oversee all my, now I'm moving into doing corporate wellness stuff as well. And all the time people will come to me, they're like, I heard a rumor that you did or do 6 figures a month just doing this. I'm like, yeah. They're like, that's crazy. How'd you do that? And I guess because I didn't think it was crazy. I just literally am an open tool in God's hands, that my alignment is so clear in what I teach, breaking through all the bullshit belief systems, that whatever I like, it becomes, life works through you. So we're almost back to that first concept, was when you're clear and you're aligned to the truth of who you really are, you're here to share a message, and you're not in judgment of like, well, if I do this, they're going to think that, or what about this, and you're in all these stories and belief systems of what you think life is supposed to look like. You're just here. You're presently giving of yourself, and you're every day you're continually expanding into a greater even version of yourself, because when shit shows up, it's your perfect gift of feedback of what's not working and what you get to do. And so being in that space, like, it is effortless. So I'll give you an example of this, Robert, on more of the business side, because this is probably more of your peeps here on the call that are wanting to understand this, is what I felt coming through me probably about 6 to 8 weeks ago was like that I got to serve the masses again at a greater level. So I've created an at-home program. I have my masterminds. I have a Goddess Revolution experience, which is taking women to that ultimate alignment. I have a Badass Breakthrough experience, which is men and women that are badasses that live at 80%. They're still not thriving in every aspect, taking them to deep, breakthrough to live in full alignment all the way. And so my at-home program, I've never really, I created that so it could be worldwide. I have people on that and in my masterminds using it, but I never really put focus towards it. And it just was like coming up for me. It was like, you're supposed to now shift to helping more of the masses. I was like, well, what would that look like? And I just posed the question, and the thought came to me to connect with this girl that had done my program a couple years ago. Her and her husband do, but they did like network marketing, and they did really well around the world. But I was just like, okay, I was like, well, I don't know why, but okay. So when you're so aligned to not worrying about judgments or stories or perceptions, and I would have been like, well, what do they have to do with this, and what would I say to them? If I went there, I would have just ignored it. Instead, I said, okay. So I reached out to her, and she's like, yeah, I'm open right now. Connect with me. And found out she had shifted to doing worldwide programs, like programs around the world with like huge, massive corporations, creating and setting up their health programs. And she was like, are you kidding me? We could sell your at-home program. Your program changed our lives, because it changed the mindset and the inner belief systems and showed them how to rock out a body of health. So it was like $1 million deal sitting right there. And it, like, that was the evidence to me. It was like, yep, this is how you're supposed to help the masses, is get back into assisting corporations. So then right after that, I went to my Badass Breakthrough Adventure experience in Mexico, and literally was 2 weeks in the jungle with all these badasses from around the world that we took to do this breakthrough level. And I come out and had like 10 messages from massive corporations just being like, hey, we heard you're going to do corporate wellness. We want to do this. And like ESPN now, and, just all these things just effortlessly flow to me, because when you're that in tune with your truth and your knowingness of who you are and the gifts you have to share, and there's no judgments or stories, that's what I'm talking about. Life comes through you.
Totally.
So
I got to share a couple things. A couple things you just said. I could see that the MMM members and associates are just kind of pinging on this right now.
Mm-hmm.
A couple key factors that we really focus on with the associates of MMM is that we have a lot of people. For example, they buy, let's say, into starting their own home-based business. They start some advertising. And of course, most people, their first focus is on making money. But one of the secrets that we really focus on is that it's let go of thinking about the money, regardless of how broke somebody might be, and just focusing on service and making a difference in somebody else's life. Now, of course, it's hard if somebody's on a tight budget. It's easy to say, you know, if we're making, you know, $50,000 or $100,000, you know, a month, and people go, it's easy for you, you know, guys and Marci or you other MMM members. But the truth of the matter is, unless you're a sociopath, it's the only way, if you've got a conscience and you have some sense of morality, that you will let what I call your ultimate self, that light within you, shine through to serve people and allow the prosperity and the wealth or the health, not only physically but financially, emotionally, when we realize, as you said, who we are. But it's really accepting that identity of being worthy, you know, of being worthy, not just for the money, but being worthy that we can be here in service of other people. And really, as we really focus on teaching the new people in MMM, if you're not here to serve other people, you are in the wrong organization, because this organization is about service. And everything you just said epitomizes showing up to serve and make a difference in another person's life with your information of health, your message of taking responsibility. It's such an alignment with our values with the MMM associates. You know, selling and marketing educational packages. It's really about an opportunity to serve and help other people. But you know, as I said to you before, I see you, Marci, as a modern day Joan of Arc.
You know the background.
I call you a heroine, you know, of the modern, you know, not only modern day woman. Maybe that's due to you're such a mentor for men and women, but in so many ways, you know, this hero that's really out about serving people. And I've always seen people help financial wealth go through the roof when they have self-abandonment in that level of service, and their true worth, you know, they allow to shine through.
Yeah, for sure. And it gives you the ability in greater ways, because like I knew I had set an intention a couple of years ago to like I was like I want to be a millionaire-ess on a mission to shift the world. Like I always knew that was my intention. And so realized even just recently that, you know, where things flow through, that wow, there was now these avenues that I could set up bigger games. Like, so through my Badass Breakthrough, I set up that it can fund building schools in Mexico and houses in Mexico, and just recently got it set up for the corporate wellness programs. Found a program that would fund for every pound shed, would match or give $1 for every pound shed, would give $1 to feed a starving homeless child. And another organization through one of my programs will fund just even feeding the homeless in San Diego. Wanted to hit my backyard and you know, not just somewhere abroad across the world, but my own backyard. And so when you realize when it just like the thought wasn't ever like, ooh, how do I make more money? Oh, corporate. Well, I mean, it wouldn't have been there. It was like, how else do I get to serve? And when you learn to ask yourself the right questions and are okay with being present with it and meditate and go internally, all those things are possible. But I'd love to look at even the story you said, which is, so I understand what it feels like to be that person who's like looking at, you know, building their business and they're at home. I used to work till 2 a.m. in the morning, and then I'd get up at 5 a.m. because I was the single mom who had to survive, and I still was. It's like you're operating out of almost like you're on a hamster wheel when you're not aligned to the truth of who you really are. So you mentioned, Robert, it's all out of self-love. When you recognize your worth, and so there's a process obviously of breaking these things down. So, but for someone who's not there, they're like, well, you know, yeah, like I'm trying to survive, and I don't know how to do that, and I've got to create money, and you're exuding an energy of lack and scarcity and just, you know, fear and all these things. But I just want to look at this, assist with looking at the story and the perception, because realizing that it's possible, and if you're willing and open to, okay, how would this be possible, and seeing that it is possible, it was a big game changer for me to just see. Like, I remember hearing about, I think it was Laura Langmeyer, who you know, making millions and having a personal nanny and a personal jet and taking her kids with her, because to me it was like, how do I, dropping stories of how it had to look for me to be a mom and how to share my passion, my purpose, and to do this and to see that it was possible. It was possible. And so if someone says, well, yeah, it's easy for you, I mean, you're doing this, well, but we only get here when we start looking at it an inch at a time. And so I always say, inch by inch, life is a cinch, but yard by yard, it's hard. So because of the way our society has, most of us have been conditioned, we see life as we have to know, especially in perfectionist identity, how it's going to look, if it's going to be successful, how, you know, we want to see the whole path. And if we don't, then we hold ourselves back and go, oh, I guess I just won't go. And so, you know, as a single mom that was in that experience, making, you know that I started back as a waitress when I became a single mom, because I couldn't, at the time, feeling so low, I was so broken, I had no idea of how I was going to take care of my little boys and be a mom all day and still feed them. And so I became a waitress at 28 years old and was making $2 an hour. And so if someone says, well, you know, I can't because, then your mind goes, yep, because, you know, you're a single mom and you have $2 to your name and you have kids to feed and all this, so I can't put time towards my business, I don't have the money to do it. All those things could have been true and those stories could have been true. But what I want you to hear is that when we go, well, this is where I'm going. Like, this is where where I'm going is my definiteness of purpose. That's where I'm headed. I'm headed to an epic life. All I knew was I'm going there. And so whatever resistance is going to show up is actually the perfect gift of feedback for me to go, okay, so what else do I get to try? Like, pain is a part of our process. And when we become at peace with that and we realize there's never going to be someday where we just go, oh, someday I'll get there where there's just no pain. That's actually a bullshit. A game I wouldn't want to play, because pain is like the greatest gift, because if we didn't experience uncomfortableness and stepping out of that comfort zone or feeling like something wasn't working, then we'd be stagnant. We'd all be sitting around being like, you know, we'd just be chilling instead of continually expanding for greater and greater and greater. But the difference is, if your belief systems say life is hard, you keep experiencing shit and prove that it's got to be hard. But if your belief system says like, okay, awesome, like everything that happens is okay and there's no judgment around it and it's a perfect process for me, and what do I get to learn? What is this teaching me? What else do I get to try? Okay, so that's not working. What else is there? You move through pain and you get closer and closer and closer to that end result that you want. And you said earlier that feeling, it reminded me of, if you guys haven't, a great book I love is Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. And he talks about, I mean, there's only two energies. He talks about the two sides of yourself that operate out of the two energies. There's fear or faith. So if we're operating out of fear energy, we're in lack, scarcity, worry, we don't know how it's going to look. Like, so all the thought, I don't know how this is going to look, makes us like, you know, hold ourselves back. And faith energy is creation energy, love energy, right? And so a perfect analogy would be like if you're going up a roller coaster. And if you're going up a roller coaster, but you're like, okay, I'm going to look at it through the eyes of fear, and you go, I want to get on this roller coaster, but I don't know what's going to be up over this hill and what's around that bend and that corner and what's at the end of the roller coaster. And I don't know, and because I can't see the whole way, I don't know how it's going to look. Perfectionist identity tendencies, we go, oh, I just won't get on the roller coaster. And that's kind of just like if you were going to, Robert, you're in Vegas, I'm in California. If you were going to fly out to see me, because you're like, oh, well, I mean, it's sunny there too. Let's use a better example. Let's go back to Utah, where I have another house, okay? I have a house in Utah. I just moved out here about 6 months ago, which is stepping through another comfort zone for me of living in paradise where I wanted to live. And if someone was going to come see me in California, but like, oh, I can't see the way, you'd be like, consciously, you're like, that's crazy. Like, you can see down your street and down the next street and down the next street, and then you get yourself to the airport. And then you might get to the airport and go, I'm not going to go see Marci in California. Like, meet me in the Cayman Islands. You know, like, I'm going to go somewhere even greater. But we tend to, our thoughts scare us, and it holds us back in that space. Instead of, if you learn to operate out of controlling your mind, and this is where I'm getting back to Napoleon Hill, and that book even says, the devil can only control those who don't control their own mind. Yet 98% of people will stop after just 2 to 3 tries. Because after 2 to 3 tries, they go, oh, I guess I didn't want it. Like, they validate it, just like, oh, I created an injury, or, you know, like I guess I can't have it, or I didn't really want it anyways, and we create excuses and stories and validations to hold ourselves where we feel safe and comfortable. But where you feel safe and comfortable is based off your belief systems. What you think you can have, what you believe you deserve, what you're worthy of. So now let's shift this. If we just start to understand the concept that, okay, for me to ever get to where I want to go, I just get to take it an inch at a time in front of me, and I'm operating out of faith. If I'm going to get on that roller coaster and I'm seeing it through the eyes of faith, I say, you know, I'm so excited. So it's everything out of like wonderment, curiosity, excitement. Because actually, excitement and fear, Robert, I don't know if you've heard this, are the exact same chemicals firing in your brain and your body, the same hormones. Mm-hmm. It's the same feeling. Like it's anxiousness, right? Like fear is like, excitement. It's just a matter of your perception, and your perception creates your possibility. So let's use that perception for our advantage here. And if we go to get on the roller coaster, we go, I'm so excited to see what's up over this hill, and I'm curious to see what's around each one of these bends, and what's going to be at the end of this roller coaster, and along the way, what people am I going to meet, and you know, how greater can I share my message, and how many people can I serve, and how's that going to show up? And we're just curious. If you just get curious, then see the feelings and the emotions and all those things support you to go, oh, okay. And they're actually exuding an energy of creation. And in that same book, he talks about when your back's against the wall. So as a single mom with $2 to my name, I could have seen life out of the same perception where people are like, well, I can't, it's because of my situation, but you can, it's easy for you. Well, that's just the story and excuse and validation you're choosing. See, you're choosing how you perceive what's in front of you. Instead of like excitement and curiosity of what you get to create, it's like, you know, fear of what you see. It's circumstance. So everything comes back to, it's fear of faith. What are you going to choose? And I love in that book, he talks about when your back's against the wall and you have no other option, like, it's like, for me, I'm like, how the fuck am I going to create this? Like, awesomeness. I get to move forward and see what's possible, but it's controlling your own mind. And by doing that, you control the next move, you take it an inch at a time, and you eventually get to the end result.
So what I hear you saying, I love it because it goes back to responsibility again. You're taking responsibility for your own brain, for your own internal reactions, your own internal chemistry set in your mind. But it's taking that level of responsibility that we're choosing how to interpret a circumstance, whether it be fear or whether it be faith. You know, the definition of faith I love. Of course, faith, I believe, is another word. Confidence or certainty. It's the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of not seen. So literally, you're choosing to have what I call unreasonable confidence. I like calling faith reasonable, joyful, and positive expectancy, just because I choose it. So I know at times when I'm nervous or I've got anxiety coming up, and we all have the same emotions. I don't care who we are, what part of the world that we live in, what type of business backgrounds we have. I think we all have different levels of dysfunction on the background. You've got an extreme story of overcoming of obstacles, you know, in your own life, from cancer to being stalked by rapists, marriage. I mean, it's like if somebody has an excuse to fail or be a victim or a martyr, you do. So I like to challenge any man or woman that is listening on this interview. If you don't have a story that compares to Marci's, you don't have a freaking excuse in the world to have a victim mindset and not reframe your thinking, in my opinion, to compare it to you, Miss Joan of Arc. So, the bottom line is I see that you've taken a choice, and I believe that faith or having that perception of curiosity versus fear is an inner choice that we can make. When I talk to people and they start their own home-based business, regardless of their background, whether they're a housewife or coming out of corporate America making $500,000 a year and they got laid off, the bottom line is whenever we start a new venture, we're going to have some anxiety. We're going to have a little bit of fear of the unknown. But the bottom line is certain people I see choose to do what you recommend. They make a conscious choice. Fascinated with curious about what they can co-create. They're excited about being able to serve other people in a new way. And
Yeah.
what I found to be the people that really break through to high levels of success, or people that give up and quit and become a victim, they go, oh, it was that guy John or Mary who got me involved with the team. They didn't give me enough support, and I didn't get
Yeah.
enough phone calls. And they start to whine and complain about everything other than taking responsibility for their own results.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because if they only chose to serve other people, if they chose to make their sponsor talk, whatever they need, they chose to make it happen and not have an excuse, so that they can better serve the world with whatever product or service they focus on marketing or selling at the time. And they chose to have the mindset and choose to switch their brain into a choice of being confident, a choice of being fascinated or curious with a possibility, versus that enemy we call what they call the cancer of the mind, of being paralyzed by fear. We can choose to be out of it because we all have the fear. And I love how you framed it, where you're fascinated with the possibility. I love that mindset. Can we talk more about that mindset? Because a lot of these business owners are working online or working in educational courses. They're, of course, I'm sure a lot of people are very nervous, wondering what they do to have a better mindset of success. What do you do? Can you expand on that success mindset?
Well, so one of the thoughts that when you say expand on success mindset is there's a system to success. Okay, so 19 out of 20 people fail at getting what they want. 19 out of 20. This really shows us why it's true that out of society, there's 1% that are creators. There's three types of people. There's spectators, participants, and creators. And yet only 1% of us are creators. The rest are participating in our creations. Out of that 1%, I believe there's also a very, very tiny percent that actually live in the alignment that I'm talking about, where even detaching from success being hard, or one or two aspects of life are good and the rest are okay or suck. It's like, this is just what we know. I believe that when you're in total alignment and divinely in tune with the daughter or son of God that you are, every single aspect of your life is 100% fully thriving, and you can't accept anything but awesomeness because you know that worth and that value of yourself, and you know that you're a gift to give, and it's all a reflection of your inner self-worth. So the thought that comes up for me when you ask that is just even understanding this system to success that those in that 1% really understand, and those that are the 1 out of 20 that get what they want understand. So system to success, write this down. Number one is that you seek the knowledge. So you look for the knowledge of who has the knowledge that will teach me what I'm seeking to be able to live in the same results. And I take that as who has the results that you want. Where are the results? And the sad reality is there's a lot of, because we're designed in a system of inauthenticity and wearing masks and not being okay with speaking our truth and so worried about judgments or fears or whatever, there can be a lot of people out there that are fronting a bullshit game of like, I've got it all together, but the truth and reality is that can be a front. And so I really desire for everything to be about, well, the results won't lie. Like, the results don't lie. And that's why, again, we can always be like, well, there's this excuse or story or whatever, but your results that you have in life, they will never lie. So look for getting the knowledge from the person or the experience, such as yourself, Robert. Like, you're a genius at what you do, and you're so in depth with like your wisdom and the mindset to making money and taking businesses and allowing them to thrive and getting out message. Like, look for someone that has the results and can teach you that knowledge. Okay, so you learn the knowledge is step number one. The second step is you make a plan. Like, okay, so how do I support myself up to have the experience that I want? So let's say, for instance, I'm going to use a simple analogy of like working out. When people go, okay, I got to learn, I want the desire, the intention is I want to live in a rockin' body of health because I know when I do, I'm like full of energy, I'm in tune with God, I'm aligned to be inspired, to create, to have more confidence, to connect with my clients, have more energy to play with my kids. We could totally go off on the body and how I believe that you're operating out of less than 10% of your power and capacity if you're not connected to this vehicle that is your life experience. But let's say, for instance, somebody says, okay, so I'm going to learn the knowledge. I'm going to learn how to work with my body. I'm going to start to work out in the morning. So instead of just like, okay, I'm going to work out in the morning, there's no plan. If you have a plan, you say, okay, I'm going to work out and it's going to be at 6 a.m. So I'm going to set my alarm. So to set myself up for support and success with this plan, I'm going to, put my alarm in the other room. So I have to get up and go turn it off. And right in that room, say it's the bathroom, I've got my clothes. I'm just going to turn on the light and get dressed and start moving and turn on some. We use my Marci meditations for people to start training their mind in the morning to just get going. And I'm going to go work out. There's a plan. So you learn the knowledge, you make a plan, and then step 3 is you implement it. So you implement the knowledge and the plan. So it's like, okay, this is what I'm doing. So I have my first day and I implement that. I get up and I go through that process, okay? So step number 4 is one of the greatest steps that you can actually be open to and understand is just self-review. It's just feedback. So if I look at now, I had the knowledge of what to do. I had the plan. I implemented it. What worked and what didn't work? Well, I hit snooze. Like, so say for instance, it was like you had the alarm next to you. I hit snooze about 10 times. I ended up not getting my workout in, or, it was really half-assed because I just didn't have the time, or whatever it is. So the feedback is, the self-review is like, well, that didn't work. What did work, what didn't work, etc. So then tomorrow, what you do, the last step to that after the self-review is you do it again. You do it again. So even in one of my mind-body breakthrough program, we have a system where people are literally able to look at the week and go, okay, so what worked, what didn't work in every aspect of my life. And like, awesome, okay, so it's a gift of feedback. So every time, so most people without knowing deeper consciousness might go, well, I failed. I sucked. I failed. And they might try it 1 or 2 times and go, I guess, it's just the wrong timing, or, I've got kids in the morning, or, it's like I have too much to do in my business right now. I've got this launch happening. The other day somebody said, yeah, I've gained weight, but it's because I have a launch going, and that's just, how it works. And I was like, well, that's a nice bullshit story. It's like, I actually shed weight every time I travel or have anything. So it's like, we get to look at it and go, okay, what's the feedback as a gift for me? What does or doesn't work? And then try it again. Repeat. And that is the simple system to success. It's just every step we take and every experience we have is our perfect gift of feedback to just have greater. So when we stop attaching to it that it's, like, I believe the only time that you actually ever fail is if you stop trying. Like, everything is, and I'm sure you've heard the quotes where it's like, to get to success even faster, fail more times, because it just is greater gifts of feedback of what worked, what doesn't work. So around tapping into something that mindset-wise is just taking it your perfect growth process. This is one of the greatest messages I feel is so important for people to hear and understand. There is no perfect. Like, a lot of people say, oh, it's not perfect about, it's not about perfection, it's progression, which is true. You're progressing, right? You're taking it inch at a time. But I actually want to even call bullshit on that, because I really believe there's no reaching towards perfection. You're actually already perfect. You're actually already divinely perfectly you. Like, and nobody can be you. You're 37.2 trillion cells of unique design. You're perfectly being you. You're perfectly in whatever you're in. So if I used to refer to it as, if I had a bitch mom moment, I was perfectly being a bitch mom. If I had, any experience you have, it's like, oh, I'm perfectly experiencing this. What is this teaching me? It's my perfect growth process to how do I get to move towards more alignment, or more happy, more joy, more peace, more balance, more of what you want. And so dropping that story that anything is wrong or right, a lot of people will be like, well, I want to make the right decision, or, well, that wasn't the right decision. I'm like, well, let's question that story. Is that really even true? What did it teach you and give you, and would you be here if you didn't go through the shit you did? I am so grateful for my mass story of craziness that you heard of victimhood, because it allows me to understand what people go through, and every single bit of my mess became my message, and it all gave me the ability to become who I am now. I would never want to trade that. But what's in front of us, and this is something that I feel like is important to see, Robert, is So say, for instance, we go, so a lot of people have a story of like, well, my past is, you know, a bad thing, okay? Or maybe you can even see your past as being a good thing, but right now in this moment, you don't see your value. So if I had a $100 bill and I pulled out a nice crisp $100 bill and I said, okay, so do you want this $100 bill? Would you like, you know, this money? And you're like, well, yeah, I want the $100 bill. Well, what if I crumple the $100 bill up? And it's all, you know, now it's not so pretty and crisp. I'm just like, do you still want the $100 bill? Most people would say, well, yeah, I want the $100 bill. Just because it's all crumpled up, it's still a $100 bill. Well, what if I throw it on the ground and I, you know, put my foot on it and I push it into the dirt on the ground and it's like really gross now? Do you still want the $100 bill? So it's still a $100 bill. The value's still the same, but for some reason, a lot of us take our life circumstance as our past and think that, well, who am I to teach this or to do this? Or, you know, I have all this pain or all this, you know, darkness, when actually every bit of my darkness allowed me to find my greatest light. And it gave me the greatest gifts of freedom. And my journey, which is just my perfect process, I want to share with someone else so that they have that they have the same journey to that same freedom in life. So I just feel like it's important to realize, like, everything is your perfect process when it's your perfect gift of feedback. That was a lot.
Awesome. That's great.
That's great.
I think if we turn the volume down, there are a few people that writing in that we're getting an echo for some reason.
Might be because I could put in headphones. That might help. Do you have headphones on yours?
No, it has a blue snowball, hopefully sound reducing mic.
Sometimes that does it on my mastermind calls. See if that's better.
Yep. I think we eliminated the echo.
Better?
Yeah, we had a number of people writing in on that. Awesome. So that's a phenomenal approach, and I know that we've gone over time, and we, you know, I know that people wanted to hear more about your system. We've got about 5 minutes left before we wrap up, but I wanted, if you were to wrap it up, I could, you know, I want you to, of course, give people resources on how they can contact you if they're interested in your programs, because your different programs that you offer are absolutely amazing, from your workouts to your different events that you do, your retreats that you have. What would you say, if you were to give people in the last 5 minutes here a specific system, especially since these are you know, association of home-based business owners that we're speaking to, we want to serve them as best we can with your resources and with your wisdom and your light and your knowledge. What would be your, you know, top recommendations for them, wrapping this up, to help them succeed and prosper in their business, both emotionally and internally, as well as financially in the hard cash, you know, that they can receive from serving other people?
The thought that comes up for me is internal peace, because when if you don't feel good, the bottom line I want to get to is, if you don't feel good, you're operating out of an energy of creation that's lack and scarcity. So you're blocking the flow of money, you're blocking, you know, the opportunities, you're blocking all these things, even though on the surface you might be doing so many things. But if the energy, so the connection to this is realizing that creation is happening effortlessly. Like the sun doesn't struggle to shine, the grass doesn't struggle to grow, you don't struggle to breathe. You're effortlessly, life is effortlessly happening. So you are effortlessly creating right now, and the energy that you're exuding right now is creating something. So if you're exuding a feeling of like, life is hard, this is hard with your business, you know, it takes money to make money, you know, I have to, and there's thoughts and processes there, I have to work so many hours, all this is exuding and vibrating this energy that's really creating more of that. And so, I mean, the things that I have to take you through that, it's understanding how to go inside, and how to, anytime you feel an emotion coming up that you don't enjoy, or you see yourself going into a negative pattern, how to go through like a 5-step to overcome sabotage, to just go inside. When you start to, so I guess the key concept would be, ask yourself questions. The quality of life you have is determined by the quality of questions you ask yourself. So when you find shit showing up or a negative feeling, instead of just like, what we tend to do is we distract from it. People have created patterns. So you might turn on the TV, you might have a huge business project you've got to get done. You feel overwhelmed, like you're going to fail, you're not controlling it, and next thing you know, you're in your kitchen looking in the pantry, or you're doing some other project and you distract or you run from it, instead of being like, ooh, what's going on, and learning how to like go, what am I feeling? Man, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I feel like this project isn't going to really work the way I wanted to, and I feel like it's going to fail or it's not going to be successful and look the way I wanted to. Man, well, why am I feeling that way? Oh, that's because I'm past perfectionist identity showing up, saying it has to look a certain way, and so well, what? And it's like going inside. When you start to learn to ask yourself questions and train your mind, you're willing to look at the war going on inside you. You create freedom, and I guess that's the greatest thing that I would want to share is seeing the perception of, it's not just about what are my actions on the surface. It's about going inside to find out, who am I, what am I really here for, what am I experiencing, and it'd be okay whatever you're experiencing, and just how to shift through that to create more and more of what you want, to become that person who doesn't just create life coming from you, but also life working through you, to be divinely guided to the people you're meant to inspire, and the people that are waiting for your message and your gift, and for the divine opportunities to align, and for you just to experience more joy, peace, and freedom living in your passion and purpose, and being someone who truly shows up and serves.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Amazing message. Is totally in alignment with our association and our entrepreneurs around the world. Love it. Absolutely love it. When you're on a higher purpose, and it's much, much more than just making money, and you're really touching other people's lives and making a difference around the world, and really affecting lives for entire families and sometimes cities, and sometimes the planet, if you really have a big enough dream. How can people get in touch with you, Marci, if they wanted to learn more from you, and if they wanted to, purchase your courses or hear more information on your philosophy and on your message?
Well, you'd mentioned before, I have an app. I invested a lot of money to create this app just so that people had some tools and resources to start to change. So the MarciLockApp.com is free. That's where you can get the app, or on iTunes. MindBody90 MindBody90 has a free video series, and but the easiest way to just get in touch and connect with me and my team to see what is a fit and really where you're at in your journey is just to go to marcilock.com/application, and we love to give people some ways that they can start to look at their inner blocks and associations and triggers, and really have a massive discovery process before we even have them connect with my team or myself to see what's really going on for you, because I just believe in it. Everything's perfect alignment. It gets to be a great fit and see where they're at. So that's probably the easiest way to connect and find out what would serve them, and have you be able to start on some things to look at your inner blocks and associations and the things keeping you from having your ultimate life.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I know I've been getting tons of emails about members around, actually different countries in the MMM that loved this interview and this event that you were gracious enough to bless us with your valuable time. I understand how valuable your time is with you traveling around the world and touching many lives like you do. So we really appreciate your time and your wisdom and the light that you share, and helping make a difference with the MMM Association around the world with this special event, which will be one of many to come this year. So we're very, very excited to have our new Millionaire Marketing Machine seminar series and special event series for free to help people around the world be more successful with their businesses. So thank you for your time again, Marci. And again, for more information, go to marcilock.com or mindbody90.com and get in touch with Marci and her team if you'd like more information from this amazing, amazing woman. And thank you again, Marci, for taking time out of your busy schedule for the Millionaire Marketing Machine Association. Thank you so much again.
I only attract the best, Robert. Love you tons, and I'm so excited for everyone that gets to work with you, because I know you're genius as well. So love to have this space with you and the amazing conversations and all that you're doing. So honor that. Thanks for having me.
Got it. Well, thank you so much. Have an incredibly blessed and amazing week, Marci, and thank you everybody in MMM for joining us this evening, and hopefully this information has really helped you make a difference in your life and your business. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks again, Marci, and God bless.
All right, love you.
Love you too. Bye-bye now.